You've got grit, Julie Redding, registered nurse, living in Reedsville. You've got grit. And what is grit? Angela Duckworth said, grit is no whining, no complaining, no excuses. So you've got grit, Julie Redding, RN, Reedsville, North Carolina. Julie, if we were both at the same professional conference, but I didn't know you, how would you introduce yourself? Julie Redding, RN of Reedsville, North Carolina.
I'd probably come up to you and introduce myself. Hi, my name is Julie Redding. I'm from a small town in North Carolina. It's called Reedsville. I am a registered nurse. I love it. I did not start doing nursing until later in my life. It was kind of a calling later on, but that is what I identify with now.
What about your early years as a child growing up in Reedsville?
That's interesting. Growing up in Reedsville, I was the only child, but you're really never alone because we have neighborhoods. They're still here. You lived in a neighborhood. So I had a friend up the street. The lady across the road would let me come play on her piano. The guy next door would let me hide blocks from, So it was, you had family and friends wherever.
What kinds of things did you enjoy doing as a child growing up in Reedsville with your family, friends, your neighborhood?
Well, they called me the Terror on Wheels at first because when I was little, I'm talking 5 years old, I would be on my big wheel and I would run you over on the sidewalk. Just wasn't scared of anything, climbing trees, doing everything. And so I spent most of my time, we had pools. I was a member of the Elks Club. So spending time at the pool. When I moved, when I was, I believe, right after 5 years old, we moved into a house on Maiden Lane, and that was within walking distance of J.C. Park. It was Cortland Park, I'm sorry. And they still have some stuff there now, but back then they had swings, they had the slides, the little merry-go-round things, and that's what you would pretty much do. And ride your bikes. You could ride your bike anywhere. No helmet back then, but you weren't scared people are going to run you off the road, and so it was pretty much playing with friends.
What about schools you attended?
Well, that's another thing. A good thing about Rockingham County is you may be in different cities, but you pretty much grow up with the same group of people. So you build good friendships. And so some of my best friends, my probably two best friends that we're still, pretty much in contact with, we went through not grade school, but junior high to high school together. And so that was a good thing because you were able to long-lasting friendships.
And then after K-12, what about college?
Well, my first year, I actually had double knee surgery, and I was a gymnast, so I decided to go to RCC, Rockingham Community College, for my freshman year so I could rehab and get ready and not waste a year of eligibility to do gymnastics. So I went there and I was able to transfer into NC State as a sophomore.
How did you like NC State?
I loved it. Wolfpack all the way to this day. But that kind of leads me back into things I enjoyed earlier when all climbing trees, they put me in gymnastics at age 5. And that was a long program. It lasted for about 19 years here in Rockingham County. And so that was my second home. I did gymnastics pretty much every day. My coach was Robert Boudreaux, love you to death. And, it was a great program, place for kids to go, gave you structure. For me, if I did not go to school and behave, I couldn't go to gymnastics. So, but then doing that, I was able to get a scholarship to stay, or a partial scholarship to NC State on the gymnastics team.
So what did you learn through gymnastics?
Discipline, how to take a fall. No, but a lot of structure, following rules was a big thing. There's no horseplay in gymnastics. A lot of respect. I respected my coach. To this day, I cannot call him Robert. It is Mr. Boudreaux. And my voice goes up 3 octaves. Hey, Mr. Boudreaux. To this day, and I'll be 50 years old, so.
So after North Carolina State, then what?
After that, I guess that's where the calling of my life change kind of happened. I decided not to go to graduate school. I kind of took a year and I worked, so my degree was in psychology. They don't want to give you a job out of school without your master's, so you're trying to find a job. So I ended up working, it was called Charter at the time, and it was in Greensboro.
I remember Charter
that?
Hospital.
And I worked there, and then one day, it was really strange, I saw a wreck, and I said, I'm gonna do that. So I decided I was gonna go to paramedic school.
So you became a paramedic?
I went to GTCC for 2 years, became a paramedic, and then came back to Rockingham County. It was my first paramedic job, was here in Rockingham County as a paramedic.
Was that exciting?
It was. I'm infamous for being the worst ambulance driver ever. I'm just kidding. But
was it like 911 what we see?
It is.
Yes.
It is. Only thing, it was a little challenging because I would end up running into people I knew. It was kind of difficult, like working on people that you know. And so I ended up going to Caswell County. But then this little bird in the back of my head kept saying, I wonder what happened to that patient. I wonder what happened to them, you know. And as a paramedic, you drop them off and go. And my granddaddy was a doctor here in Reedsville. Dr. Forbes was his name. And I had never really thought about it. And I don't know if he was sitting there saying, ding, ding, come on, Julie, why don't you think about it? And I decided, I think I'm going to try nursing. So in my 30s, I go to nursing school.
And you go to?
I go to A&T.
And become an outstanding student.
Thank you.
Yes.
So, and because of all my other school stuff, I was able to transfer in there as a sophomore also, and able to get my bachelor's of science in 3 years, where I met the Miss Mabel Scott.
Yes. Now, you were one of those students that we just heard so much about, and we had to write a lot of stories, and you were featured as a student that could really explain the program. Why do you think you really got into the program? Because of all of the background as a paramedic, or you wanted to help more people? Or
I believe, started with the psychology part. You're going to use psychology everywhere you go. And then the paramedic part, I loved it. And like I said, I kind of fell into the nursing. But I will have to say, A&T's program was very nurturing. Some people have horror stories of nursing school. They're scared, the teachers are mean. No, it was very nurturing. I actually enjoyed it. I tutored some. I can think of different ways to explain something somebody may not understand. And so that's kind of what's leading me to what I'm thinking about now, is I really would like to get my master's in nursing education and teach. So.
And you'd be a good teacher.
And maybe come back here, maybe at RCC here in Rockingham County, maybe.
So, why is being a registered nurse a rewarding occupation?
Well, like you said, helping people, that's always the quote generic answer, but that's not really it. You get a lot out of it. Not only, it's very self-rewarding in turn too, to know that you have done something that can touch anybody's life at any point. And it's not just the patient, it could be the family member or the kid sitting in there with them or something like that. But as the registered nurse, it's very achieving too, because I have my own license. So I have a license in the state of North Carolina that I have to upkeep. I have to do so many continuing ed hours, pay my dues and all of that. But it is mine, and it's mine to own. And so I take pride in it and try to be the best nurse I can be. And that's what I tell people: if you're going to go into nursing, do it because you want to do it.
It's all about excellence and doing your very best.
That's right.
So, what do you think all young people might need to know in order to succeed?
Well, first of all, it's very stressful time for kids, especially with the COVID and the things happening, having to be homeschooled. I'm sure that was horrible for parents, on top of the children being at home. But just, everybody wants to resist school, but get everything you can get out of school. Because that, your education is what is going to lead you and put you in the right direction. You really can't steer wrong with school.
You need some type of training.
Yep.
Something that you can do that you love and enjoy.
And as much as the kids may not realize it now, when you see a teacher out somewhere now, you're like, that was my teacher, and you're so proud to know, and they come up to you and hug you, and That's another great place about living in a small town is that it's very, I don't want to use the word homey, but it's
That's a good word.
homey.
Homey.
It's safe. It feels safe. That's one of the reasons I moved back here. You know, lived in Raleigh, moved back to Greensboro when I went to paramedic school, and within 3 years I was back in Rockingham County and bought my first house and have been there for over 10 years. So
Rockingham County, it's homey.
it is.
How can we steer more young people into exploring sciences, technology, engineering, mathematics, medicine?
I think it needs to be presented in a fun way because that's the things kids are going to gravitate towards. If you can make it sound fun, if you can go to the lake or anywhere outside, but make it like a treasure hunt, make it into something that they're going to want to engage in, then they're going to be more likely to want to do those type of things.
Because were you really interested in the sciences as a youngster?
Not
growing
really,
up?
not really at all. But somewhere it was presented to me in a certain way that evidently came back.
And that foundation was laid here in Rockingham County.
Sure was.
So you could take and matriculate through those hard courses and biology, chemistry, oh my goodness, just thinking about it.
I know chemistry was the one reason I was scared to finish nursing schools,
But you made it.
I struggled through it.
You did.
My teacher even looked at me like, Julie, don't worry, just. So.
And you've answered this earlier, but I want to hear what you want to say. Why do you love Rockingham County, North Carolina?
It's a hometown. It's that hometown feeling. I never thought, everybody wants to get away. Oh, I want to go off to college. I want to do this. But when you come back here, it's amazing. It's like you have personal connections with people. You go to the grocery store, the cashier knows your name. We have the pharmacies, they know you. It's not like going somewhere in Greensboro or a bigger place and you're just a person or a credit card. They know you, they know your allergies, they know everything about you. Same with the service stations. I mean, where in Greensboro or somewhere else can you go and say, can you check my oil real quick for me, blah, blah, blah. No, we have places here like that. We have butchers. I mean, it's a wonderful place. Plus the churches, that's one of my big things that I've reconnected with my church. Bless my mom, has kind of brought me back there. My stepdad and I have been trying to regularly go to church. I go to St. Thomas Episcopal Church. And you are able to go to a place where I played at that person's house, or they watched me because my mom needed to go somewhere. And it's just those feelings. It's like you can't get that anywhere else. So, like I said, I had to make a decision. Did I want to stay in Greensboro? Did I want, I'm single, and it's like, did I want to stay there and be in the city and do stuff? But no, I chose to come back here and make some foundations, some roots. Like I said, I have a house and here with family, friends.
You've got grit. Julie Redding, registered nurse of Reidsville, North Carolina, who calls Rockingham County homey. I bet some of you out there probably know someone that you would describe by saying, you've got grit. So email a paragraph describing the person you think Spectrum 1304 and Rockingham County government should interview for You've Got Grit. Then email your paragraph to mscott@co.rockingham.nc.us. That's mscott@co.rockingham.nc.us. Thanks again for watching. You've Got Grit.